Newcastle 4, Nottingham Forest 3, in what was the definition of a game of two halves for Newcastle United. An unbelievable first half. Even when they went 1-0 down, they started the game so well. But in the second half, they defended too deep, they invited too much pressure on, and they invited Forest almost back into the game. But Ryan Yates' third goal was too little, too late for Forest. And I feel like it was looking like an outstanding performance from Newcastle to actually slightly disappointing, but all that matters at the end of the day is the 3 points. Now, I'm going to say this. My standouts was, I think Lewis Hall has to be man of the match today. He was incredible, but I thought Lewis Miley did really well. And I think the media have been very wrong on Lewis Miley. And I'm saying this as a Man United fan because he played, Champions League games at age 17, played and started a few games for Newcastle last season. He's obviously not played due to injuries, and you're seeing people in mainstream saying, well, he's not played many games this season, he's had a poor season. He's not played many games because he's been injured. And if you're working in mainstream media, fact check that. Fact check why he's not playing. Don't make out that he's been poor and that's why he's not started many games. He's been injured. It's ridiculous, and I felt like he's been hard done by. But I thought Miley was really good. I thought Hall was really good. I thought Isak was just standard. He's good, isn't he? And I thought Willock had a good game, which might be an unpopular opinion because I know he's been getting a bit stickly, but I did. I think those 4 players should be happy with their performances. I thought the rest of them weren't good enough. Isak, Miley, Hall, and Willock were good performances, but I thought the rest of Newcastle did not step up today. This was the starting 11. Nick Pope, I'm going to be honest. Dubravka went to United for a little bit, and I don't rate Dubravka that much, but Dubravka's been really good these last 10 games for Newcastle before Pope come back in. With Pope, Dubravka looks more comfortable with the ball at his feet, and I thought that actually Newcastle were giving the ball away a lot, and they're a bit sloppy, particularly playing out from the back. I thought Burn individually, I thought defensively was the better centre back, and had some decent moments, but I felt that Burn was really sloppy on the ball and giving it away. Also, I do apologise that this reaction is going out 3 hours after full time. Basically, I had to catch up on the first half before the Liverpool game, so between the full time and the Liverpool game, because really busy, so I actually missed the first half, so I watched it on catch up. So that's why there's a delay in my match reaction. So I do apologise on that, but I obviously wanted to make sure I saw the first half, because if I just done a match reaction on the second half, I couldn't say much good, and that's when everything happened. So I had to catch up on that. But yeah, I thought Lewis Miley, good. Bruno Guimaraes, disappointing from him. Anthony Gordon, disappointing from him. I thought, it was definitely a game of two halves. So these were my just general notes. Good start, despite going 1-0 down. It was a great response, showing with 4 goals in 11 minutes. And I have to say, the Lewis Miley goal was excellent for that. That was a crucial goal, because once you get that goal, it can change the momentum of the game, because you're back in the game. It's level. Forest have to come out and do something now. And I thought that it was excellent from Lewis Miley, not just the finish, but the touch, the control, the positioning. I thought, for an 18-year-old kid, so composed. The second half, I thought Newcastle sat back way too much, invited too much pressure. And I think Eddie Howe got it wrong in the second half. I think you should have still played on the front foot. I know you're 4-1 up. You don't need to play on the front foot. But I think sitting back and inviting too much pressure when you've got players like Dan Burton, who's a good box defender, but he's never been known for his ability playing out from the back. It was a risk. I think you could do that a little bit versus Arsenal, because they have issues breaking down low blocks. But Forest do actually, believe it or not, have better attackers than Arsenal. Chris Wood is a lot more clinical than Havertz. Alanga is better than Martinelli. But I think, the most important thing, I think, for Newcastle is the 3 points. You're playing Nottingham Forest. It's not going to be an easy game. If someone says you beat Nottingham Forest 4-3 before kickoff, you take that. I think it's the matter in which you went 4-1 up. So now it's disappointing because, it's 4-3 and you've completely destroyed the good work in the second half. And also, if you don't concede those 2 goals, your goal difference is +12. That's only 3 behind City on +15. Now, right now, Newcastle in 5th place in the league, equal on points with Manchester City. You've got Liverpool next, which will be a difficult game. But right now, 5th place in the Premier League gets you into the Champions League next season. As long as 2 clubs go through to the next round, you are destined to be through into the Champions League if you finish 5th, which is probably what Newcastle's goal was. So the 3 points is probably the most important thing as well. And apparently you got 13 wins in 16 or something. I read online. I don't know how true that is. But I did think the team crumbled in the second half. And I look at Newcastle, I thought, Wilson was underwhelming when he come on. And I think Wilson's been a good servant to Newcastle. But I thought he was underwhelming. I thought Barnes was underwhelming, who's often come off the bench and made impact. I look at Newcastle and there's a lot of work that needs to be done in the summer because you need fresher players. Shaw, Burn, and Wilson are coming to the end of their careers. They're old. You need to go out there and you need to sign 2 centre backs because Botman can't stay fit. You need to probably sign a Trippier replacement because I assume he's going to go. And you need to go and sign someone that's going to be back up to Isak, like a Wilson replacement. Maybe get Mbeumo because he can play Isak's role and right wing, and that can cover 2 birds with 1 stone. But you need to look at, and I think Shaw before December, before November, I thought Shaw started the season well, but he's just, and I thought it was really good for Newcastle last season, but he's dropped off and he's aging. And Burns been really good this season, in my opinion. I think he's been better than Shaw, and when he's played centre back, he's been better. But you notice that there's maybe you need those more younger players that can play more intense football. That Eddie Howe is big on intensity, and I think there's work to be done in the summer. And to think that Newcastle haven't spent the last 2 windows, you've probably got a big summer ahead, I'm assuming. Lewis Hall was unbelievable. As I said, assist, big part of 3 goals. Lewis Miley, I thought, did really well. I thought Burn did decent defensively on his own, but maybe looked uncomfortable at times. But it's a big 3 points. I thought Willock showed signs of improvement. I thought Willock was good today because he's got that engine. And I think when he's good, but he's not been good enough this season. I think the injuries have been a bit of a setback for him as well in terms of getting that momentum. But he's looking to drive, tackle. I thought him and Lewis Miley were really eager to get stuck in. I thought Newcastle struggled, I think, when under pressure. And I think Pope and Burn, as I said, struggled to play out from the back elements of that. Isak score. But I think when you look at Lewis Hall and you look at Lewis Miley, 20 and 18 years of age is exciting talent. So as a Man United fan, I'm also an England fan. And I look at that and I say, well, this is exciting for England and the future of England, particularly Lewis Hall, because for me, he starts over Lewis Skelly, which some people might give me stick for saying. But Lewis Hall's done it for longer at left back. He's a more natural left back. Lewis Skelly, for me, will eventually be a midfielder. So I would play Lewis Hall over Lewis Skelly at left back for England. But look at Lewis Hall's game, by the way. 101 minutes played, 93 touches, 10 duels won, 5 recoveries, 5 tackles won, 3 chances created, 1 assist. He basically almost got 3 assists in a weird way, but obviously just the 1 assist. It was unbelievable today. Most touches, most tackles won, most crosses, most duels won, most chances created. Attacking, defensively, he was fantastic today. And Lewis Hall is one of my favourite players in the league because of how clever and how intelligent he is. He showed at Chelsea he could play in midfield. At times he did play in midfield because he's someone that if you want your left back or your fullback to invert, he can do that. But if you also want your fullback to overlap, he can do that. He can be an inverting presence. He can be a technical presence. He can be someone that can help you in every phase of the pitch, from build up to ball progression to chance creating to defensive work. He can impact every phase of the pitch, and that's such a talented and special skill to have. He's very good in tight situations, very press resistant, comfortable on the ball, but progressing the ball, breaking the lines, and the intelligence to know when to overlap, when to underlap, where to position himself, I think is so important. And I thought he was fantastic for Newcastle. And I think this season he's really come on defensively, which has always been the question. Everyone knows he's technically good, he's good going forward. Can he develop defensively, physically? And that's what he's shown this season. He dealt with Alanga well. He's a very good player physically, fast, quick, physical. Alanga was at United, very good running power. I thought he was fantastic. When he has the ball, he can drive forward and he's a real threat in the final third. Isak, 19 goals in the league. 50 goals in 76 Premier League games, 26 goal contributions on all comps this season is ridiculous. He's just so complete. You get Isak in a transition opportunity, you get the Newcastle front line and transition opportunity is endgame. But even the penalty was a joke. I mean, Sells has got to do better there. He is absolutely taking the mick out of Sells, but everything he does is a joke because he's so complete. He does it so well. Link up, good. Shot power, unbelievable. Long shots, wow. Short shots there. In the box, tapping. Can run at you, can dribble, can link up, can hold. It's crazy how complete he is. Unbelievable player. And Arsenal keep talking about signing Isak, but I don't think Isak goes to Arsenal. I think Newcastle get Champions League. They invest heavily in the summer. They've got a project there, and I think Isak will stay at Newcastle. The only team I think could maybe tempt Isak would be Liverpool right now because they're top of the league. But I think, because Arsenal fans seem to believe they're going to get Isak and that Isak's their player, but I see Isak staying at Newcastle next season. I think Liverpool are more likely to sign him than Arsenal, which might be a hot take, but I see him staying at Newcastle. Lewis Miley had injury issues which have impacted game time, but what a player he is, and that goal was excellent. Touch, bam. Obviously, he played a couple of times in the FA Cup. Was it against Bromley? Did he score as well again? Or was it Morecambe? I don't know who he played. But apparently he was very good in the FA Cup games. Only saw the highlights. But he started many games for Newcastle, and he's never looked out of place. He was starting Champions League games at 17. He had to go into a depleted Newcastle side last season. and he doesn't look out of place. He doesn't look like he's the weak point. There's a weak point maybe in the Newcastle side, and you never pick Lewis Miley. He looked really good, ran his heart out. I thought he kept the ball well. I thought he did well in duels. I thought he showed that eagerness. And I thought he wanted it more than other players today. And he was one of the best performers today in terms of just the desire to drive forward, to get the ball. He brought that intensity, and intensity is key for Eddie Howe's system. And I think when your players are older, they lose that intensity. Son isn't a bad player, but Son's been hit and miss for Tottenham. Good last game, because he lacks that intensity for handball at this age. Casemiro's fallen off a cliff because he lacks that intensity. And I think young players, they bring that intensity that I think Eddie Howe likes. And I think Lewis Miley's got a special future. And I think the media did him wrong, because I've seen the media give him stick or say, oh, he hasn't been as good this season. He's been injured. He's been good when he's played. He's been injured. He's got to work his way back in. He's 18. He's 18. He's not going to just start every game. But he's made a point today saying, you can start me next game, boss, because I showed you what I can do. Anyway, let me know your thoughts. Thank you for watching. Bye.